Hello from Halifax. This is Jo with Jo to the World Creations, and today we're going to be making my Infinity Scarf Crochet Pattern. This is a very easy crochet infinity scarf, and we're going to get right to the video tutorial. All of the details for this pattern, such as the exact sizing, the materials used, like the yarn and hook size, as well as all the written instructions, are available for free on my website, or you can purchase the print-ready, ad-free PDF. There are links to both below this video. All right, let's get started. First thing we're going to do is make a slip knot. So we're going to make a loop, pull the end through the loop, and pull tight. Place the loop on our hook and once again pull tight. Before we go to the next step, I wanted to point out that this scarf is made from the bottom up. So the number of starting chains is what determines the length of the scarf. And the scarf is made as one long piece, and then it gets slip stitched together at the very end. So to create a scarf as I did, which is 60 inches long, I chained 169. But if you want to make the length of your scarf longer or shorter, you can make more or less starting chains, and make those starting chains in multiples of 2 plus 1. So any even number, then add 1 for the starting chains. So it'll actually be an odd number. So I'm using a K-hook, which is what I'll be using for the entire pattern. But if you crochet tightly, you may want to go up 1 hook size for the starting chains only, but that is completely optional. So to make a scarf that is 60 inches long or has a circumference of 60 inches, you're going to chain 169. So 1, 2, 3, and you can keep going and make 169 chains. And for this video, I'm just going to be making a small swatch, but come back after you've made your number of starting chains and we will do row 1 together. With your starting chains now made, let's start row 1. For all of row 1, we are going to be working into the back ridge loops. The back ridge loops are these bumps along the back. We're going to be working into those bumps all the way across the chain. We're going to work into the second chain from hook. So that's the first chain. This is the second chain. And into that second chain, we're going to slightly twist and work into the bumps along the back. And into that second bump, which is the second bump from the hook, we're going to single crochet. So insert our hook into the bump or the back ridge loop, and then single crochet. In the very next chain, again into the back ridge loop, we're going to make a double crochet stitch. So we're yarning over, inserting our hook into the back ridge loop, pulling our yarn through 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull our yarn through just 2 loops. We have 2 loops left, yarn over, pull our yarn through both remaining loops. And there's our double crochet stitch now completed. In the next chain, we're going to single crochet. In the next chain, double crochet. In the next chain, single crochet. And we're going to be doing this all the way across, alternating a single crochet, which I've just completed, and then a double crochet in the next chain. In the very next chain, single crochet. And in the next chain, double crochet. So you can go ahead and do this all the way across, working only into the back ridge loops. And when you get to the end of the row, nothing is special about the end of the row. You just keep doing the exact same pattern. So I've just done a double crochet here. My next stitch should be a single crochet. And the last stitch of the row into the chain is a double crochet. At the end of row 1, if you started with 169 starting chains, at the end of row 1, you should have a total of 168 stitches completed. We're now going to start row 2, and row 2 is what we're going to be repeating for the entire pattern. It's the exact same thing. So in every row, we are going to start by chaining 1 and turning. In the very first stitch, which is the stitch attached to the chain, we're going to single crochet. In the very next stitch, we're going to double crochet. In the next stitch, single crochet. In the next stitch, double crochet. And you're just going to repeat single crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, all the way across. What's great is that you're going to be able to really easily see what you need to do next, because you're always going to work a single crochet into the top of a double crochet stitch from the previous row. So you can see this one's a little bigger than the next one. So you can see here, this is a double crochet top that we're going to single crochet into. And the next stitch is a little smaller, which means that it's a top of a single crochet from the previous row. So we're going to double crochet into it. And you do this all the way across. When you come to the end of the row, you continue following the pattern. So I've just done a double crochet. My next stitch will be a single crochet. And the very last stitch of every row is always a double crochet stitch. Every row has the exact same number of stitches. Every row should have 168 stitches. And the chain one that we made at the very start of the row does not count as a stitch. So only count the single crochet and double crochet stitches you've made across the row. So for row 3 and on, you're going to repeat row 2 over and over and over again until the height of your work measures approximately 6.5 inches or your desired height. You are welcome to make it higher or not as high. Just repeat row 2 over and over again. You can end after any number of rows. It doesn't need to be an even number, an odd number. You can end whenever you'd like. Whenever you've reached your desired height, do not fasten off. Come back to the video and we're going to attach the two sides together. So I've just reached my desired height, which was 6.5 inches. This was for me 20 rows that I've completed, and I've just finished my last row with a double crochet stitch. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull the loop up a little bit just so it doesn't come undone. I'm going to remove my hook for a moment, and I'm going to take the other end of the scarf and I am going to line it up right on top of the other end here. And just to show you what this all looks like, I've just folded it perfectly in half, made sure that it's not twisted. So here's my folded side, and now I'm going to line up the two ends so that the stitches are perfectly aligned. So I've chosen to slip stitch the two sides together, but I wanted to mention that you are welcome just to take your yarn needle, put your yarn in your yarn needle, and just weave in and out and just sew the two sides together if you find that's easier. For me, I just liked slip stitching the two sides together. So I'm going to put my hook back into my loop. And so this is exactly where I've left off. The back piece is my last stitch of my last row. And then I'm going to insert my hook into the top of the first stitch of the top piece here. Insert my hook. And then I'm going to grab my yarn and just pull it through the top stitch here, the two loops that I've put on my hook, and all the way through. And that creates my first slip stitch. Now I'm going to insert my hook into lined up stitches. So I've put them so that they're perfectly even, or as perfect as possible. And I'm going to insert my hook into the two lined up stitches into both stitches, grab my yarn and pull it through both stitches and pull it through the loop on my hook. And I'm going to do this all the way down. And there really isn't a perfect science for this. And because it's at the back of the scarf, I think it's just great the way it turns out, and it doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. And there's also no exact science to this, so I don't have an exact number of stitches I'm trying to achieve. And I'm also not worrying about putting it at the exact same place at every single row. The goal here is simply to attach the two sides together. So I'm just going to work all the way down, slip stitching into two lined up stitches. And sometimes I put it in the space underneath the stitches, and sometimes I put them in the actual stitches. Just depends on the spacing and how they're lined up. And I find there's lots of flexibility. But you can try different ways to see what you like best. So you're going to do this all the way down, slip stitching the two sides together all the way to the bottom. Your last slip stitch will be the very bottom stitches for both pieces. And after you've done that, you're going to take your yarn needle and weave in all your loose ends. And now you have a brand new infinity scarf. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.